Hi everyone, my name is Sandiswa Mntwini and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be discussing tax evasion and tax avoidance. Before I continue, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so in order to make sure that you get each and every video that I put out. And also, if you would like to get notifications, then hit the notification button. And to all those people that have subscribed, thank you very much, and I'm hoping that I can provide you with quality content. Please remember that you are more than welcome to drop me a comment or a question on the comment section. I will reply as soon as I can. Okay, or else you can even email me. My emailing details I will put on the description box. Now, what is tax avoidance? Well, tax avoidance is when a taxpayer uses tax planning or they consult in order to make sure that they reduce their tax payable in a legal way. In other words, this is the case when you use all the allowances that SARS is providing in order to make sure that you reduce the amount of tax payable for you or your business. Now, that is tax avoidance. Tax evasion, however, is illegal. It's when a taxpayer, number one, doesn't disclose all of his income, or number two is when a taxpayer doesn't disclose part or full of his income. Tax evasion, however, is illegal. This is now when a taxpayer does certain activities in order to make sure that they don't disclose full or part of the income that is supposed to be payable for their taxes or for their businesses. And tax evasion is illegal. For value-added tax, for instance, if you are doing tax evasion, then one of the examples would be when you deliberately understate your sales, or when you deliberately overstate your expenses in order to make sure that you save on the VAT that you pay. Tax avoidance, however, would be making use of all the provisions that are available in the VAT Act which rightfully allow for you as a taxpayer to claim VAT on certain goods and services. Now that would be tax avoidance, not evasion. So it would be doing it legally, not illegally. For customs duty, for instance, tax evasion would be when you smuggle goods from another country into the country without declaring them. In that way, you would be smuggling them in order to avoid paying any customs duty. Now, for those who don't know what customs duty is the tax that you pay on all the goods that you import from other countries. And government is always imposing customs duties from imports in order to encourage South Africans to buy from South Africa, even though it doesn't always work because obviously some other countries have low costs of producing stuff. So, for instance, China. We importing stuff from China simply because the cost that side is low, which makes their stuff cheaper. Now, customs duty is the levy that you pay on all that stuff that you're importing from another country. People and influencers and YouTubers, you will hear them talk about it when they're doing a haul of clothes that they've bought from Shein or Shine or all these places that they buy stuff from, and people who order hair and all those things from other countries, they would have paid customs duty on it if they don't smuggle in those products. And it's actually very South Africa is losing out on a lot on stuff that is being smuggled into the country. Now, SARS has tried by all means in order to put in provisions that in place in order to circumvent all the tax evasion loopholes that people are using in order to evade tax. One of those provisions that has been introduced by SARS in order to circumvent tax evasion is a Section 7C. Section 7C was introduced in 2017 and it did rock the boat a little bit because now taxpayers and tax professionals have to work harder in order to find ways for taxpayers to evade tax, especially when it comes to trusts. Now, how does SARS determine that an activity was entered to in order to evade tax? What SARS normally looks at is whether or not an activity or a transaction was entered into actually makes any commercial sense other than the tax benefits that the person entering into that transaction will get. In other words, SARS will look at the transaction and they will ask themselves, would this person have entered into this transaction if it wasn't only for the benefits that they will get for tax purposes? If I may make an example, in the recent years, most people are investing in property. And as you know, in most cases, when you get into property, the first few years, you do not make any profit because of obviously, if you didn't buy the in my example, you did not buy the property cash. So in the first few years, if you have used finance to purchase a property, you don't make any money because of the interest as well as the bond, as well as other expenses that you have to pay around the property. But most importantly, it's the bond that makes it unlikely for you to make a profit. So what SARS has been doing over the years is to actually question people for buying the properties. For instance, they will investigate on your property, are you charging the market related rent? Because what some people will do, especially people in higher income brackets, what they will do is they will buy a property knowing very well that they are not going to be making any profit in that property. And sometimes they'll even give to the property to a relative to pay, say for instance, half the rent, half the market half of the market related rent that's supposed to be paid. For instance, if the rental in that area is 5,000 rand for a 2-bedroom flat, they will give it to their relative, and that relative would be renting 2,000 rand. And then obviously the property is going to make lots and lots and lots of losses, and then they'll be able to deduct that against their personal income. Because they're in the higher tax bracket, then they would use that loss from the rental income in order to reduce their income or their tax payable. So SARS has been clenching down on those, making sure that when you have a rental property and you are making a loss, that they want to investigate to make sure that actually you are charging the market related rental, and also you did not buy that property just to make sure that you're actually decreasing your tax payable on your personal income taxes, because they had noticed that that is now what people are using in order to decrease their tax payable. Most of the time, unfortunately, tax evasion is not as simple as a person understating their income, or a drug lord dealing in cash instead of using of swiping, or maybe just a person that's dealing in cryptocurrency, not disclosing their. Speaking of cryptocurrency, if you haven't checked out my video on cryptocurrency, please do check it out. I explain there how and when and if you should pay tax if you are involved in cryptocurrency. In most cases, unfortunately, there's a very thin line between tax avoidance and tax evasion, which is why I always, if you're unsure about something, then you'd rather consult with a professional rather than finding yourself in hot water with SARS, because believe you me, they're not going to be very nice with you. It's not going to be pretty, because SARS right now is very desperate for money, and they're clenching down on everything, illegal activities, people who are doing tax evasion and all those things, and they are not lenient at all. As a result, if you are found to be evading tax, you can pay a penalty of up to 200% of the evasion that you did, and that's double, and you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So if you find yourself that you're in a gray area, or you are unsure about something, then you would rather consult a professional rather than be found to have done tax evasion, because not only will that get you into trouble, that will also affect your reputation as a person, because that SARS makes sure that people who do that, everyone knows about it. They just put it out there. Now, unfortunately for SARS, they will never be able to create anti-avoidance provisions for each and everything that is out there. In other words, for each and every income, for each and every tax type, and be able to cover everything. And because of this reason, most of the tax evasion or tax avoidance matters end up in tax court. So if you'd like to find out more about tax avoidance and tax evasion and how it works, then maybe keep up with the tax court, because there's always a case of tax evasion or tax avoidance. Of tax evasion, not tax avoidance. Tax avoidance, remember, it's completely legal. So there's always a case of tax evasion. Now, if you want to learn more about tax avoidance, which is the legal one, using all the tricks and tips that are available on the Tax Act in order to pay less tax, then please do check out my video titled Tax Tips on How to Reduce Your Taxable Income. I will also attach a link on the description. That's the video that's going to help you to avoid tax, which is the legal way of doing things. Thank you again. Please subscribe and please like this video if you are happy with it. And also don't forget to drop your questions down below. I'll answer as soon as I can. Thank you.